It begins in 1979, 4 years before the events of Stranger Things' first season. Dr. Martin Brenner is at the Hawkins lab, conducting studies on a young subject he calls 10. 10 is having visions of horror, a bloodbath. Brenner investigates dead children, shattered glass, and blown out doors. It appears that it's 11, seething and dripping with blood, that's responsible.
What have you done?
What has she done, exactly? It appears the 11 we've come to know these last few seasons has an even darker history than we realized. We jump ahead to March 1986. It's been 185 days since Joyce, Will, and Jonathan moved to California. Joyce gets a package with Russian postage. Inside is a doll that Murray encourages her to smash open. Inside is a note hinting that Hopper is still alive. In a letter to boyfriend Mike, 11 gives us an update. Joyce works from home now, Will is acting weird and painting a lot, and Jonathan is depressed, clouded in pot smoke, and palling around with affable stoner Argyle. Elle's also not being entirely honest. She says she's thriving in California, but the truth is that her grades are bad and she's being bullied relentlessly by a preppy clique led by blonde harpy Angela. Thankfully, she has something to look forward to: Mike's planned spring break visit. In Hawkins, our teenage heroes are now in high school. They're also slowly drifting apart from each other. Mike, Dustin, and Lucas are members of a Dungeons & Dragons collective called the Hellfire Club, but Lucas is ditching the big finale of their campaign to play in the championship game of the Hawkins basketball team. If he does well, he reckons, it could endear him to Jason and the rest of the Tigers, thus granting him entry into the cool crowd. Mike and Dustin don't care, they feel betrayed. They're tasked by frizzy-haired Hellfire head honcho, Eddie, to recruit a replacement for Lucas. They find it in Erica, aka Lady Applejack, a chaotic good half-elf rogue, level 14. Looks like some of Lucas' nerd tendencies rubbed off. Nancy is now the editor of the Hawkins newspaper. She's hoping she and Jonathan will be able to go to the same fancy schmancy college together, but, as her lackey Fred notes, the distance between them is certainly having an effect on the couple. Steve and Robin are still pals, commiserating over their crushes as they lord over the counter at Family Video. Dustin's still dating Susie, who's reintroduced while hacking into the Hawkins mainframe to change Dustin's Latin grade from a D to an A. Jason honors those lost in last season's fire during the Tigers pep rally, specifically naming Billy and Hopper.
How much loss can one community take?
We're about to find out. Relatable teenage drama, by and large, but, this being Hawkins, something supernatural is afoot. Head cheerleader Chrissy, though sunny and all smiles on the court, is seeing things. Dark, horrifying things, the kind she could never tell straight-laced boyfriend Jason about. Monstrous visions of her mother, for example, or a spectral grandfather clock filled with spiders. She finds refuge in Eddie, of all people, who she hopes will sell her the kind of drugs that just might make it all go away. She has to cheer her way through the Tigers' big game, which is juxtaposed against the Hellfire Club's culminating campaign. As the Tigers square off with the Falcons, Mike, Dustin, Erica, and company take on Dungeon Master Eddie's big bad, Vecna. The Sinclairs win it for both camps. Lucas scores the winning basket and Erica lands the killer blow. And then there's Max, who is drifting in her own way. She's living in a trailer with her mother, who's working 2 jobs and often drunk, and still processing the loss of Billy with a school counselor, Miss Kelly. She also broke up with Lucas. Lucas is in a mix of concern and puzzlement, tells her it's like you're a ghost or something.
It's like you're a ghost or something.
She skips the game to look after her incapacitated mother, but spots something curious. Eddie and Chrissy, an odd couple if there ever was one, disappearing into Eddie's uncle's trailer. Inside the trailer, Eddie leaves Chrissy alone as he digs up his product. Bad idea. The visions return, worse than ever. Chrissy sees her mother as a rotting demon, her father with his eyes and mouth stitched shut. And then there's a hulking, groaning humanoid beast.
Don't cry, Chrissy. It's time for your suffering to end.
In Eddie's eyes, Chrissy is catatonic, her eyes rapidly blinking. She begins to levitate and, as he watches in horror, her bones snap in unnatural directions. Her eyes spill blood, then suck it back into her skull. It's easily the most explicit shock of violence in Stranger Things history, a gut-churning tease of what's most certainly the series' most horror-inspired season.